hybrid vehicles, high voltage, and that means orange cables, and that means safety, safety, safety. Don't work on a hybrid vehicle unless you've had the proper training and own the proper equipment. And before we even get into the meter aspect, let's talk about gloves, because anytime you handle a meter or tools around these orange cable connections, you've got to have class 0 1000 volt gloves. And I happen to have a set right here. Keep them in this canvas bag to keep them protected between uses. And every time I get them out, I'm going to inspect them visually and then perform a little test to see if they hold air. You can blow in them or you can roll them up, and if they hold air, there's no pinholes. If there's a pinhole, a flashback problem with the electrical system on a hybrid could actually find its way in through that pinhole to your hand. So each time you put a set of gloves on, check them, and every 6 months they recommend you send them off for professional testing. So we'll go ahead and roll that up, and it holds air. Now the rubber gloves protect you, and the leather shells protect the gloves. So we'll put these on and continue talking more about safety in hybrid vehicles. Safety glasses aren't a bad idea either in any kind of auto repair realm, especially working with the high voltage systems. So once I've got class 0 gloves on, let's talk about category 3 meters. Now, most of the Fluke's products are category 3 now. The 5 series, 87s, 88s, they're all category 3, and of course this Fluke 1587 high voltage insulation tester, also Cat 3000 volt meter. You can find the rating of that meter down here in the lower right hand corner of all the products. No matter what brand of meter it is, it will say whether it's Cat 3000 volts or not. This is actually Cat 3000 volts and Cat 4 600 volts. So make sure not only the meter is specified to that degree of protection, but also make sure the leads say 1000 volts, as well as the ends, the alligator clips or probes. Now, what we're dealing with a hybrid safety issue is anything over 60 volts could be injurious or even deadly, even at amperage levels of slightly less than 1 amp. So obviously, for example, this cutaway of a Toyota Prius, Gen 2 Prius 2004 new battery pack would be over 60 volts. As a matter of fact, each of these little battery modules, or as I like to call them bricks, comprise 6 1.2 volt nickel metal hydride cells. Now you put those in series, you have 7.2 volts approximately when it's fully charged. Multiply that 7.2 times 28 of these in a Gen 2 Prius, and the earlier Priuses actually over that amount of voltage in the 38 module frame, so about almost 300 volts, 280 or 270 volts. That's a lot of voltage. So whenever you deal with the orange cables or the battery pack itself, the gloves come out and you verify that things have been disconnected and use the meter to make sure that happens, the Cat 3 meter. Let's go ahead and take the lid of this battery case off and let you see more of what's in there. The gloves, I have to warn you, are a little awkward to work with, but once you've ensured that the battery pack has been disconnected on the vehicle, whatever orange cable you're dealing with has been powered down, then the gloves can come off and you can work with your normal gloves or bare hands or whatever. Now, let's go ahead and take this service plug out. I'm going to go ahead and remove the end of this. It just shows you how long a Prius battery pack is, about 125 pounds actually. We'll measure this battery module here in a second with this meter. This service plug is what you disconnect before you ever even work on the vehicle in regards to anything with the high voltage, inverters, converters, motor generators, the battery pack itself, anything orange cable related. There's a safety plug, and what you'll do reaching in from the trunk on the Prius and on other vehicles that may be opening the side door and the back area, they're typically above the rear axle for weight distribution. On this particular style of battery pack, you pull this little latch up and then you pull it down and remove it like that. Inside of here you actually find a 125 amp fuse for the entire battery pack. That's called the service plug. When you reinstall it, make sure when you latch it up that you also push this end down, because when you do that, you actually will engage two tiny contacts into a circuit that ensures that everything as far as the high voltage system on the car is of good integrity. It's a high voltage interlock circuit. So if you ever have a case where you pulled this orange plug and you put it back in wearing your Class 0 gloves, and the vehicle wouldn't start, and you had that orange or red triangle on the dash saying you had a hybrid problem, make sure this is snapped down. If it's not, you'll get a code POAOD, which is high voltage interlock circuit voltage high. Now with that gone, we can take those screws out like we just did, remove that case, and you see not only, of course I mentioned earlier, I've cut this down to a much shorter battery pack to make it easier to travel with, but there's the cells that I have left, the battery modules, 7.2 volts each, and here are a couple of relays. In the electronics world, they might be called contactors. They're special relays that will last a long time and do not arc. And then there are other circuits to make sure the relays are open when they're supposed to be open and closed when they're supposed to be closed. The two DC orange cables that go forward to the front of the car to be turned into AC, that's what comes out of this area right here. That's what you're going to take loose if you ever have to change a battery pack on a Prius or other hybrid vehicle. And there's other modules typically in these battery packs. Here's a battery control module that controls and monitors battery charging, temperatures, state of charge, and things like that.